Hello everybody, this is Shannon. Today I'm going to talk about our Next-Steps Embroidery Sampler and go through the 5 stitches. They're kind of next level stitches, so they're a little more complicated than the 5 that were showcased in our Intro to Embroidery Sampler. These kits are for sale. They come with a little booklet. They come with a sampler, some backing fabric, a hoop, some thread, and a needle or 2. So, as you can see on this sampler, there are 5 different stitches showcased, and then there's a lot of room for play too. So how we get started is we take our backing fabric and we lay it down and we center our sampler on top of it. And then we take our hoop and we lay the hoop down and lay the sampler on top of it. Now you don't need to have a hoop that is bigger than your sampler whenever you're embroidering, because you can move the hoop around as much as you need to. I like to center the sampler as much as possible. And then I put the open part of the hoop on top. I make it nice and taut. And then you go ahead and tighten it up. Now your kit will come with 6-strand embroidery floss, and it's on a little postcard, and you get a couple yards of each color. So choose whatever color you want to use first. And cut a piece of embroidery floss that is about, usually about 18 to 24 inches long, whatever is most comfortable for you. And then you're going to decide how many strands to use. So it's called 6-strand embroidery floss because there are 6 strands, and you can use from 1 strand up to 6 strands. Really typical amounts to use are 2 or 3 strands, and I like to do 3 strands. So it's pretty easy to take apart. It's not super tightly applied together. It's just kind of loosely applied. So grab 3 strands in each hand and slowly pull it apart. If you find that it's starting to get knotted, you can put the end like in your mouth and pull. That helps. And then it's time to thread our needle. So how I like to thread my needle is to lay my thread over my needle. Usually I have the pointy end sticking out. I lay my thread over my needle, and then I use my forefinger and my thumb to pinch that thread so I have a folded over part, and then I can shove my thread right through the eye of my needle. That usually works really well for me. The knot that I like to use is called a quilter's knot. You see that I'm kind of pulling here too. This is really helpful for floss. You kind of love the floss, so you pull down it, so try to get all the kinks out. And then to make my knot, I hold the tail against my needle with my thumb, and I use my middle finger, but you could use your forefinger. And then with my non-dominant hand, I'm going to wrap from back to front around that needle about 3 times, and then I'm going to move the knot, the wraps that I've done, so it's pinched between those fingers, and then I'm going to pull over my eye and all the way down the length of my thread, and then I have a nice knot at the bottom of my thread. All right. So the first stitch we're going to do on our sampler is called the stem stitch. And so the outside circle is what I kind of drew to be our stem stitch area. So to do the stem stitch, come up anywhere along that line you want. And you're going to create 1 stitch. So you go forward 1 stitch length. Okay, so you create that first stitch and then you come up. You're not going to split the the thread, but you're going to come up as close as you can to that stitch you just created right in the center of it. And then you're going to go another stitch length away. Then you're going to come up again as close as you can without splitting that right next to it. And you're going to go down into the fabric a stitch length away. It's got a little caught up here. Oops. All right, so you just keep doing that and it looks kind of like a rope as you do this. Now, one thing to remember as you're working on this, always make sure you come up on the same side of your previous stitch. So I'm always coming up as I'm looking at it on the right side. It doesn't matter which side you come up, but make sure you always do it on the same side. Try to make sure your stitches are the same length each time. And try to make sure you're not splitting that stitch at all. And that, my friends, is the hem stitch. It's so pretty and it does look like a rope.